Now we get into the thing where I think a lot of people, the sweat equity of actually touring. And I know you've got a whole lot of stories about things that were definitely maybe not the wisest maneuvers for people to do. And I'm sure you have a lot of horror stories. But I mean, I would think right now that anybody who's in a band, the most important thing right now, probably more important than I think even recording, is actually going out there and doing it. What do you think the big thing is for the touring situation is right now towards that?
It turned around so quickly because it's just been in the last 2 years. The answer for the lack of record sales and everything, all of a sudden to be, let's tour. Touring was the way bands would make money. That's what they'd say. Oh, you're not making any money in your record. Go out and tour. And now there's too many bands touring. So what happened was all of a sudden you end up with all these major labels that decided they want to be in the touring business or the band's touring business. And now they want a piece of your touring. They want a piece of your T-shirts. I mean, every band you guys were in, you guys, when you got home, had T-shirt money. Yeah. How many years did the Vandals and Bad Religion split up T-shirt money? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you had your label telling you, now we're your T-shirt company. And never really helped you do anything else. And now it's 2008. The Warped Tour started in '95. I've been touring around, working around touring bands for 27 years now. And I think we're going back to more what 1995 was. I'm seeing it very quickly. In 1995, we had Sublime and Orange 9mm sharing a bus. We had L7 and No Use for a Name. Talk about weird dynamics. But that's how we all used to tour. It was how do you share? Where do you sleep? Where do you share crew? Then we went to this phase about 5 years ago, where it was like the big emo, screamo, post-hardcore. They were going to be the savers. And I had these bands touring with 2 tour buses on Warped Tour with 8 people, 9 people. And I was going, you guys, man, this is crazy. Well, our label's loaning us, giving us tour support. Well, that tour support number's gone. No one's giving you tour support. So now in this year, it's funny how everyone's calling and trying to share. Like, we've got 1 bus. We got 3 extra bunks. Do you know anyone that needs to rent a bunk from us? Because that's going to help us get to the next city. So we're kind of going, I think, full circle where it's going to be more do-it-yourself because your labels can't give you money to get 2 buses anymore. Your bands, even on a punk label, are coming to you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're in the business of artist development, and we give bands tour support who need it, but it has to be, we're tightening our belt just like everyone else.
Well, you guys are feeling a little bit. You guys are out there. You're an indie label band now. You got to get out on the Warped Tour and make it work. What are you guys doing this summer? We start in a week.
So we're selling a bunk. bottom right front bunk.
I can verify what you're saying. Most of our bands that are on Warped Tour are either 2 or 3 of them to a bus, for sure. My label has always had that ethic, but I think now the majors are doing it. It just has to be done now.
Buses are scary either way because buses cost ridiculous amount of money, and if you guys are feeling it with driving around here with the gas prices, imagine it on a bus 9 hours a night. It adds up real fast.
By the time you pay the driver, all the things that go into it, a hotel room, it's costing about $1,000 a day. Yeah. I mean, just so you guys get into your mindset, what that costs a day to be out on the road. Most of the discussions I'm having in the last 72 hours is like, oh my God, how are we going to make this work? We're coming out. People are going, are you going to raise the ticket price at the door? I'm going, I can't this year. The kids are having the same problem. They're going to have a problem getting gas to come to the Warped Tour this year. How am I going to charge them more? We got to figure out how to make it work, and I think everyone's looking at it right now.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if you guys get this, because if you look on all these message boards and kids' reactions to when a band gets big or and the sellout accusations or not, they don't really understand that. Like you were saying, it's $1,000 a day. Like for my band, we're one of the main stage bands on Warped Tour, and we're probably gonna lose money, and hopefully not, but it's the reality that we would have to sell so much merchandise, which is good if it happened, but we would, and this is the same thing with pretty much every tour, and so it's kind of a scary thing right now. I'm not complaining because it's I'm getting to do what I love with my life, so I encourage anyone who's in a band, you're gonna have fun, you're gonna get to, if you work hard enough and make good music, you'll get to tour and do that.
And this is the time for new bands to really be educated and really pay attention to what the smart ways to go about things are. When we first started, when somebody said, bus costs $1,000 a day, that scared the hell out of us, where we said, we don't want to deal with tour support, we'll just do a van. We did a van as long as we could. Our van blew up more times than anybody's ever should, and when we were supposed to do a bus, we said, let's share a bus. We shared a bus with Letter Kills. There was 18 of us and a few other folks that were working on the tour in probably the crappiest bus you guys have never seen, because I don't know where they found this thing, but it was much worse than touring in a van. So much, in fact, that after Warped, we went back into a van where some of the other bands that were sharing buses went into buses just because it felt like the natural progression. But $1,000 a day scared us enough where we did a van until our label basically forced us into a bus. And you know, the venues, we had been touring for a year on a record cycle before we went to a bus.
And that's
so.
the thing about Warped. Everyone goes, God, all these bands and buses. But for us to be able to keep the ticket price fair and make it work at all, we're working 6 days a week. You know, most tours sometimes are out there 5. I mean, we've got runs. We've done up to 23 shows in a row on Warped Tour. And it's kind of like we have the same expenses too, trying to keep everything going down the road. So it is tough. And it used to be that bands used to come and put in time on the Warped Tour. Yeah, you know, if you're lucky and all of a sudden became that band, so tens of thousands of dollars of merchandise, you came home. But you knew that if you did the Warped Tour and put the time out there, it would help your record sales. And the next time you toured, you would be able to sell 2 to 3 times more tickets.